arcade stuff, there are so many awesome things to buy. And in this video, we are not going to talk about Pandora's box or game systems or stuff like that. We're going to talk about that is game related, absolute and like arcade related. And we're having so many cool boards nowadays. But in this video, we're going to talk about the beefcake of a machine. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in this video, I have something pretty damn awesome to show you. So this product makes no sense whatsoever. I'm just going to be honest with you up front when you're going to watch this video. Because this thing is pretty damn awesome, but there are some things that you need to know. And is this thing the ultimate Pandora's box? Is this like the king of the machines? That is what we're going to find out today. But the reason I wanted to review this main board or this game system is because we can play some games that we couldn't play with other devices, especially with the Pandora's box. Because now we can even play some Killer Instinct 1 and 2. But when you're looking at a Pandora's box, we cannot even play those games, even on the latest edition. I think that some of the games, like a Mortal Kombat 1, will run just fine on Pandora's box, but also this device can play all the Mortal Kombat. So when you're looking at this old piece of technology or this gigantic piece board, it has a lot of potential when it comes to playing some games. But there are a lot of games that we can play with a Pandora's box very easily. And that's the thing that gives me like this mixed feeling, and also I want to just talk about it, showing off like how you need to connect this to gigantic beast, because there are some things that are like really crazy. Okay, so what do we get in the kit? The main board itself, of course. Then we're going to get ourselves an old school, really old school PCU or a power supply. Then we're going to get ourselves a very long ribbon cable and the control board. Yeah, so the control board is needed for basically reconfiguring in the menu and the machine itself. Yeah, that is some really old school stuff. But what is about this gigantic beast? Like, you connect it with a freaking power supply of an PC. Yeah, absolutely, like really crazy. So how you need to connect this thing? So what you're going to get with this is just an, yeah, or better said, I got this weird Gen Max, never heard of this brand, 480 watts of a power supply. It has all the connection that we're going to need, but it does have like a SATA connection here and some other stuff. But that is not the only thing that we're going to get. We're going to get two fans in here. This thing is quite loud, like the really old school fans like Pentium 4 time. So the only thing that we need to do is plug in this 4-pin, and then we're done. Then we need to connect the second one, and that's the only thing that we need to do. But next up, let's take a close look how you need to connect the control board. At the top, we're going to get an IDA connection. Yep, we're going really old school now. The only thing that we need to do is plug in this gigantic, really long IDA cable. I need to get myself another one because this thing is freaking annoying, like it's too long. Yeah, and on the other end, we're going to get the same way of the connection. And so let's roll it off. Keep rolling. All right. And then we're going to get ourselves the control board over here. Let's plug that bad boy in. And we're ready to go. But what I also notice, like what I understand of this PCB, we're also going to give us the 4-player option. So player 3 or 4 need to connect with this jammer connection over there. But before we're going to plug it in and play some games, let's do a quick overview of the board itself. So at the bottom, we're going to get this gigantic plate if you want to mount it in an arcade machine. So at the top, you can see like this gigantic PCB and a lot of extra components that also like have the input and give the main board itself the power. And yeah, it also includes the IDA connection for the controller board I've shown you, and a gap for the fan. And over here we're going to get the JAMMA connection, and for JAMMA especially for the arcades. So basically this is not something we're going to use in this video. We can use it, like you can plug in your old arcade machine if you want to, but the other one, like what you're going to get over here, is basically like an old school Pentium 4 with the ADA drive. Yeah, seriously, like what the hell. So here you can see like this ribbon cable that goes straight into the main board to the hard drive. This thing comes with an old school hard drive. You can, I think you cannot really see it, but it is an old school 128 gigabyte. Yeah, that is some really old school stuff. But the main problem of these boards are like if the hard drive dies, you have a problem. So then we're going to get all the old school connections. There is no HDMI on this board. We're going to get this extra VGA connection if you need it in an arcade machine. So there are quite some options with this old bad boy. Then we're going to get the normal VGA connection over there. So the audio didn't work, what the seller told me. I have a solution for you. I will just give you this USB converter so you still have the sound, and it works very well. But let's do a quick overview over here, because this is quite interesting piece of hardware. So there we're going to see this PCB that is on the serial port and it will be connecting to the topper or the JAMA converter. So in my opinion, it's quite an interesting construction when you're looking at it. And of course, we're going to get 2 USB ports and some old school PS2 connections. Oh yeah. Alright, so let's fire up this bad boy. I'm really excited to boot it up. I get myself a keyboard. I will use a keyboard for now because this thing runs on Windows 2000. Yeah, seriously, like, so we have some limitation with the controllers. And if I'm going to use this thing actually like a game system, I can always like configure some drivers, installing my controllers. I have piles of these controllers laying around. Some of these things will work. What we're having with a Pandora box and 12 volt power supply, we needed like a freaking old school power supply of a PC for this gigantic beast. But they also call this thing the Games Family, and yeah, they're still selling this thing. Like, you would not surprising, like they still keep selling these devices. No idea why. I know like Killer Instinct is running on this, but nowadays with the Pandora box we can play a lot of stuff. Like, this thing comes with 13 or 15 games, and basically when you're looking at the list, it's nothing really special. All the same stuff that we have seen in before. It does have the option for different platforms, so that's quite interesting for a very old kind of a technology. But the Games Family, what kind of games does it have? So when you're looking at a Pandora box, we have so many freaking games that we can play with a Pandora's box or something else. And with the Games Family, it's quite limited. We do have like 3-dimensional games, but that is something we didn't have like with the first generation of Pandora's boxes. But now the Pandora's boxes like are supreme. Besides that it doesn't play Killer Instinct, that makes no sense in my opinion. Such a weird thing, because this Pentium 4 is not that powerful, basically like in Pandora's box. But let's get into some gaming action. I just wanted to see what this thing is capable of and how good is the emulation, because that is always like an issue with these freaking Pandora's boxes. So when you're looking at Killer Instinct, I know it will give some screen tearing here and there. It still has the same issues like in Pandora's box. Take consideration are quite some different versions out there, but when you look in Pandora's box, I think they didn't really fix anything when it comes to Game Family versions. But overall, the performance is not super bad. Okay, so next up, Mortal Kombat 1 is not super special because we can play this on Pandora's boxes, some of them, not all of them. But still, it runs pretty damn awesome. I love the game, good emulation performance, but yeah, it's cool to see it running on the Games Family. But okay, so I found it quite interesting to see that Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 are running very well on this device, but not on all Pandora's boxes. Okay, but beside Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3 and the Killer Instinct games, we have a lot of stuff that we can play with a Pandora's box just perfectly. And the Pandora's box are like so much easier to connect with your, let's say, arcade machine. And yeah, that's the difference. I must say that overall performance when it comes to the emulation is pretty damn good. And that's always like with Pandora box a mixed thing. Sometimes we're having like Pandora box with okay emulation or pretty damn good, but sometimes it's freaking awful. But should you buy a gigantic board like this for basic games like in Magical Drop? I think not. Okay, so what I do like about it, that we still have a lot of options when it comes to the emulator itself. Something that is also not common with Pandora's boxes. We can mess around with auto fire, custom buttons. You can reconfigure a lot of stuff that you couldn't do with Pandora's boxes in general. But before we go into the final conclusion, I want to bring in my buddy Retro Ralph from the Retro Ralph YouTube channel, because in my opinion he is a big fan of arcades, and he also did a review about the burger board, how you love to call it. So here, my guest for today, Retro Ralph.
We're gonna review the burger board.
Hey Wicked, thanks for having me on this episode. So of course, when you said you needed help reviewing a package from China, I would definitely want to jump on that chance. So today you're looking at the burger board. Now I have version 2.4. This thing has come in a bunch of different versions. Of course, just like all these China products, they have different software loaded. My main motivation for getting the burger board is I was trying to find a way to help someone and guide someone through installing a version of Killer Instinct, so they could play Killer Instinct easily on a cabinet, plug and play. But yeah, the burger board is not plug and play. It comes with a JAMA interface for first things. You also need a separate power supply for it, and you also need a separate breakout board. Let me get it real quick. So you need another board with a ribbon cable to do players 3 and 4, because that is one of the draws of the burger board. It supports 4 players. I had high hopes for this thing, but honestly, it's kind of riddled with issues. There's a lot of screen tearing, the emulation isn't that good, and it's kind of a shame because it has a really good games list, and there's also some really sloppy things about it. Like in the menu system, the text just kind of overruns through, and it's like you couldn't like word wrap it or something, I don't know. So the burger board was kind of a disappointment. Does it have some good games on it? Absolutely. Is it worth all the effort to hook up this and work with this, and then you have this separate power supply? I don't know. If the emulation was better, I'd say yes, but I'm gonna have to give the burger board a thumbs down. I'm sorry, I just can't recommend it. All right, back over to you, Wicked.
All right, Ralph, thanks for joining me here on the show and giving me your opinion about the burger board. Like Ralph said, it's like a freaking nightmare hooking this thing up, and when you're having like in Pandora's box JAMA, no, it doesn't play Killer Instinct, and it does still have a lot of issues, but still it's super convenient. They plug it in, you just use a 12-volt power supply, it's like easy peasy. And that convenient thing we have within Family or in JAMA from Pandora's box, we don't have within Family edition from the Games King, because the thing is clunky, it's big. The Game Kings, in my opinion, I think those boards have quite a potential because it's running on the PC, so we can do even more cool things with it. But it's a bummer they're still using this old software that also, like Red Ralph says, has a lot of screen tearing, the same like Pandora's box, but still it's such a bummer. It has potential, it's very clunky with a big power supply. Yeah, let me know in the comments what do you think of this. But thank you all for watching. Join Retro Ralph on his channel for some awesome videos. I will leave a link in the description to his channel, and it would be great to see you all in the next video.